Mr. Anil Swarup is a distinguished civil servant from the IAS cadre of Uttar Pradesh. He has held several important portfolios, not only in the state government, but also in the central government or the Government of India. And he's been a man of great principles, which is what we need here in Oasis family. Man of great integrity, achievement, and above all, a good person. After retirement, he's been active, busy in promoting the nexus of the good, not the evil, and to destroy evil as much as possible. One of the common features that we have here is how to educate with character and integrity the young ones around not only in India but around the globe. So there is no other person better than Mr. Anil Swarup to guide us into this whole philosophy of education and the process by which we should take this forward. Thank you, Mr. Anil Swarup, for coming, agreeing to talk to us, and we are extremely pleased and happy at your giving the time for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those very, very kind words. I will take you through my little experience that I had in the education sector, and then probably attempt to answer some of the issues or try and answer some of the questions that you've raised with regard to what next, what can possibly be done, given the set of circumstances that we are in. Because I have always believed that it is easy to have an idea, and all of us have enormous number of ideas. But the critical point is to make things happen. The critical point is to make them happen and sustain them. But in a democracy, it's not very easy. We are proud, we are a proud democratic nation, but doing things become a bit more difficult than it would be probably across the border, where a decision gets taken and gets implemented. In India, it's not very easy for an idea to fructify and sustain, because for an idea to fructify and sustain over a period of time, it has to be politically acceptable, socially desirable, technologically feasible, financially viable, administratively doable, judicially tenable, and emotionally relatable. And someone, as I tweeted this morning, someone added an 8th dimension to it, which was environmentally sustainable. So there are all sorts of constraints in making things happen in India. But that doesn't mean things don't happen or they can't happen. They can happen. And as we go along, I'll try and explain to you how things are being made to happen and how we can learn and replicate from things that are happening now. In fact, Oasis is a living example of how to make things happen and sustain them. I'll come to that later on. When I was posted at Secretary School Education and Literacy, at that point in time, I was Secretary Coal Government of India. And, I thought I was going from the dark dungeons of coal mines to the bright lights of school education. I call them dark dungeons of coal mines because when I was indeed posted as Coal Secretary, I did not know much about that sector. So I rang up a friend of mine and asked him, "Yaar, ye sector kaisa hai?" He said, "Gangs of Wasipur dekhi hai kya?" So that actually answered the question of the dark dungeons of the coal mines, which by God's grace and on account of an absolutely amazing team that I had, we managed to sort out the coal mess. From an absolute crisis of shortage of coal, we were toying with the idea of exporting coal to Bangladesh. Now, that's a different story. I'm not going to narrate it here. But what happened in the education sector, I will certainly share my thoughts with you. So I thought I was moving out from dark dungeons of coal mines to the bright lights of school education. And to my utmost horror, I found that the mafias of school education were much worse than the mafias of coal. In coal, all the mining was underground and the mafias were overground. In education, it was the other way around. All the mafias were underground, eating into the essentials of Indian education. And it was very, very difficult to sort it out. In my book, Ethical Dilemmas of a Civil Servant, I outline some of these mafias. And the biggest mafia, I'm outlining these mafias because then we will see how in the context of the 7 limitations that I had mentioned, what was done and what can be done in future to take care of the education system in India. It's very important to understand the why of a problem if you want to find a solution of a problem. Sometimes we scratch the surface and we are unable to find a solution to the fundamental issues that afflict a particular sector. So we try to do that. Though I had only about 20 months as school education secretary, I enjoyed it thoroughly. Probably that was the only assignment where I felt I wish I had some more time, because before that, in all other assignments, I used to make myself redundant. As school secretary, I used to go to the PMO and tell them mind of the ministry, because after starting with spending nights in the office, I had only about 45 minutes of work. So I made myself redundant in whole ministry, but to make yourself redundant in education, I can't visualize. I thought I should have had more time. So let me go through some of the mafias that I came across. To me, in education, teacher is pivotal. If we can sort out the teacher-related issues, I think we would have sorted out most of the problems of school education. I don't know why we are spending so much time, effort, and money and other things. Yes, we should, but I think the focus has to be teacher. And let us try and understand what is wrong with the teacher aspect in school education and what was attempted to be done and what can possibly be done. That's where lies the key. Now, before a teacher joins any government school, he has to undergo a training, which is called B.Ed or DLEd. That training has to be done. To my utmost horror, I was informed that out of 16,000 colleges, B.Ed and DLEd colleges, 4,000 did not exist or existed in a room, but they could give you a degree. And imagine the quality of that degree that would come about and quality of people that would come out, because they were all fraudulent colleges. So the chairman of the National Council for Teacher Education, he decided to take them on. I had just taken over as Secretary School Education, and the chairman came to me and asked me, sir, this is the state of affairs. I would like to initiate some measures to ensure that the training imparted to the budding teachers is good enough for them to become teachers. And then he explained to me the numbers that I gave you. And then he said, he wanted to issue a notice to all the colleges, asking them to furnish on an affidavit their geographical boundaries, faculty that they have, so that if they furnish wrong information, criminal action can be taken against them, because it would be on affidavit. So I agreed with him and he issued that notice. This set the cat amongst the pigeons. These are very, very powerful lobbies. They are politically well connected. But as I told you in the beginning, your idea has to be politically acceptable. So what did we do? We did not feel that we should not pursue it because politically it would be difficult. On the contrary, I traveled to a number of states trying to convince the chief ministers into believing that this is the way forward. So what we did was, he issued notices to them, but the problem was with the politicians. So we devised a strategy to make the idea politically acceptable. I've always believed, though you must recognize the fact of the acceptability of an idea, you can work out a strategy to make any idea politically acceptable. And in this case, I traveled to almost 24 states in the country, met with the politicians there, with the chief minister. And fortunately, almost all the chief ministers agreed with me. I distinctly remember I had gone to Rajasthan in a conference and I was making a presentation on this particular issue on how to take care of the B.Ed and DLEd colleges. The chief minister, the then chief minister of Rajasthan, was sitting in the audience. And the moment I completed my speech, she walked up to me at the dais, held my hand and said, Anilji, that's it. That is what you got to do. Similarly, when I was in UP, Mr. Yogi Adityanath had taken over as the chief minister. And I told him, this is the problem. This is the B.Ed and DLEd colleges problem. He said, Anilji, samasya badi kathin hai. Karya bada duruh hai. Duruh is difficult. Lekin main aapke saath hoon, aap kariye ise. So I got support from almost all the politicians from all political parties. But the problem was, there was another thing. In the list that I mentioned to you, there was an item called judicial tenability. That is where probably I failed on some occasions. So what these guys did was, they were very very powerful people, B.Ed and DLED college owners. They got the best of lawyers. And if you can get the best of lawyers, you can get anything straight under the sun. So in this case, they got a stay order from 3 high courts for seeking information. Now, mind you, it was not any action against them, just seeking information. And they got a stay order. So it appears very funny. And that is why the chairman, National Council of Teacher Education, appeared personally in a high court to argue that we are only seeking information. We are not taking action right now. When we take action, you can stay it, but you can't stop seeking of information. The judges of the high court got very annoyed and issued a contempt notice against it. And a notice to me asking me to explain how Chairman NCTE would be removed. Now, this was a tough ask. Why? Because I was still prepared to go along with it, but somehow my minister gave up. He said, let's not take it up with the judiciary, let's stop the process. The chairman NCTE resigned in frustration from the IAS. That is listed as one of the biggest failures of my career. This happened about 9 to 10 months before my retirement. It was pretty shocking, but there is a positive to it. He resigned, I retired. But what has happened in the new education policy, the national education policy, there is now a provision that all the B.Ed and DLED colleges will now have to have 4-year course. And for that, they have prescribed a few things. And if the registration happens appropriately, all these fraudulent B.Ed and DLED colleges will be dispensed with. The point that I'm trying to make here is that success may not come your way immediately. But if you do move on the right path, and if you are convinced about it, and if you take care of the environment around it, the chances are that you succeed. As they say, we can't be sure of the results, but if you do your karma properly, the chances are that you succeed. And if you fail in that moment, maybe at a later time, your karma will benefit the system, as it did in this case, because the national education policy incorporates that. So this is the pre-entry education of school teachers. And I'll only touch upon issues relating to teachers today. There are many other issues in education. I won't do that. I will just touch upon teacher-related issues, because to my mind, as I said earlier, teachers are the pivot around whom the education revolves. The second problem is the examinations that are held to recruit teachers for government jobs. Now, imagine a scenario where a teacher has not been trained appropriately. He's got a degree, and he somehow manages to become a teacher, as many of them do. I don't know whether you're aware that one of the former chief minister was behind the bars for a racket in selection of teachers. Now, he was unfortunate, or say fortunate, behind the bars, but many of them are not behind the bars doing the same thing, especially in certain parts of the country where examinations are manipulated, teachers get into the job. So a situation where teacher has not been trained properly in B.Ed and DLED colleges, and they somehow get into the school, what sort of a teaching will they do? So here again, we started an effort, and I'm glad to say that the national education policy again touches upon reforming this entire recruitment of teachers. So if the pre-test training, the B.Ed and DLED colleges improve, if the recruitment process improve, I think majority of the job will be done. You know, people ask me to, and I've been speaking a lot on the national education policy. I keep telling them that the problem with national education policy, and I'm digressing a bit just to hammer a point. The problem with national education policy is it is too good to be implemented. Because in the policy itself, the policy makers say that it would require 6% of the GDP to implement the recommendations that they have given. I don't know you are aware or not. So far, the maximum amount that has been allocated to education is 3.1%. And I don't foresee 6% being allocated to education in India. At least till I am alive, it may happen thereafter. So it will be tough to get that money. So हमारी तरफ यूपी में कहते हैं जेब में नहीं पत्ता चल दिए कलकत्ता. So how do you implement an idea if you don't have the desired funds to back it up? How can those funds come, or at least some of it can come? Maybe if time permits, I'll talk about it later on. But the point that I'm making here is that if you focus on such aspect of the national education policy that do not require too much financial intervention. No, I have discussed two aspects: improvement in B.Ed and DLED colleges and recruitment of teachers, both of these do not require too much financial intervention. So if I were Dr. Kasturi Rangan, I would have prioritized and said, these aspects of the policy can be implemented forthwith because they do not require too much financial intervention. Given the limited budgetary allocation, you can implement these aspects of the policy. I've been advising the state governments, whoever has approached me, that please identify those aspects of the policy because the policy is very good. Please identify those aspects of the policies where there isn't too much financial intervention and you can move ahead and gradually you'll get more and more money. So to begin with, these two aspects can be taken care of. What is the third aspect of teachers' education or for teachers? The third aspect is that a large number of teachers do not go to school, and especially in certain parts of the country. I mean, there is a World Bank report which says that in certain states, almost 25 to 30% teachers don't go to the school. And I know it for sure, having been education secretary myself, in some of the states, they actually appoint a substitute and pay them pittance. He presents himself in the school on behalf of the teacher, and the teachers are busy politicking. So that's a very serious crisis. I mean, even if the teacher is good, first of all, as I said, the teacher is not trained properly, the selection is wonky, and then he doesn't go to the school. Now, how are you going to improve education in India with teachers not going to school? Now, people talk of big things. If we are unable to take care of these fundamentals of school education, then how are you going to school? Now, this can also be done. This actually was experimented during my time when I was school education secretary in Chhattisgarh and Andhra with phenomenal impact. I mean, the attendance of teachers improved dramatically. So we had geo-positioned attendance of the teachers. So teacher had to be in the school to provide that attendance. I'm not going to the details of it. Some of it is there in my book, but this can be discussed and this can be done. You can actually ensure that the teacher goes to the school. People used to be critical and say, but he can give his attendance, go away. Okay, let's go step by step. Let us get them to the school first. If they don't go to the school at all, it's a problem. Let them go to the school and then walk away. Let's see that. We will handle that as well. But let us go step by step. You know, sometimes in order to find a solution to a problem, we create a bigger problem. We say, until you solve that problem, you can't solve this problem. I have it the other way around. I believe that go for low-hanging fruits. Go for initial problems that you can solve. That will give you confidence and others confidence in you for you to solve the problem. I did that throughout my career and I was reasonably successful in finding solutions to the problems. So attendance of the teacher is a very, very important issue. Then the fourth point relating to teachers is, how do you upgrade their skills regularly? Because the world is changing fast. We can't have the same system of learning as we had a couple of days earlier, decades earlier. So we have to keep training the teachers. Here, some wonderful work was done in education department, and I'm glad it continues to be done. There is a portal. If you all find time, please go to that portal called Diksha, D-I-K-S-H-A. It's a wonderful portal which provides a platform to teachers to upload their videos which they think are good for teaching. I mean, this is only one facet of that portal. There are many other facets of the portal. So upgrading the skills of teacher and making them do. Then, of course, how do you incentivize teachers? So on and so forth. So the critical point in school education, to my mind, is how do we handle issues relating to teachers? Now, this is as far as the fundamentals of teacher recruitment, training, etc. is concerned. There's another issue which I thought I'll bring to your notice because it was mentioned earlier. How do you make people believe that ethical conduct, integrity works? You can't give gyan. You know, have so many gyani purushas all over the country who talk about gyan. They will tell you, you should do this, you should do this. And when you are in that room listening to that gyani purush, you are also very impressed that we should do this. But you know, in the entire process, I look at it 3 levels. One is accepting what you listen. So you accept, because I'm a good speaker, you'll accept what I'm saying. But at the moment you get out of the room, you'll forget about it, walk your own path. Okay. But so long as you're in the room, if I'm a mesmerizing speaker, as many are, you will accept what I'm saying. You will not doubt it or debate it. You'll say, yes, he's right. The second point is, you accept it. You say, not only is he right, I should try and do it. And the third stage is, you internalize it. You internalize it only when you start believing that it has some value for you. It is not merely an idea coming to you from somewhere, but you believe that it is beneficial to you. So the critical point in all pedagogy, in all that is being told to anybody, is to make that person believe that it is beneficial to him. Let us accept the fact that we are all basically selfish. Until it benefits me some way, I will not be driven by that idea. I may agree to that idea, I may accept that idea, but I will not drive that idea inside me. I will drive that only if and that's my understanding, because when you communicate with anybody, you have to tell him what is in it for him. What is the benefit for him? Without that, even a philanthropist, even an altruist is selfish that he or she believes that it is beneficial to him. By doing good to others, he feels good. So now, how do you do that? And that's where Nexus of Good comes in. The fundamental principle is to demonstrate to people that what is being told to them is beneficial to them. So you are undergoing this, or you have undergone this 3-day workshop here. And I'm sure most of you will be feeling this is it. If we can sustain this, nothing like it. But it will be sustained only if you feel that it has benefited you, and it will continue to benefit you. It is not merely sounding good. It's like listening to good music. You enjoy that music. You like that music. You like that voice that is speaking to you. But to internalize it, you have to start believing, or you have to start feeling that that is indeed beneficial to you. That's very, very critical. So what do you do? In order to make people believe that good is beneficial to you, you have to demonstrate that not only good can happen, but it is beneficial to you. And how do you do that? And that's what we are attempting in Nexus of Good. We are trying to demonstrate that good can happen because good is happening. It's very important because usually, since we are so fond of masala, at least in northern part of the country, we are very fond of masala. So we believe in negativity. We enjoy negativity. We enjoy criticizing people. We sit around a table and try and criticize a person who's not sitting there. So we are very critical of people around, and we thoroughly enjoy it because we are fond of masala. Now this habit has to undergo a change by believing that talking good about others who are not present also makes you feel happy. And I keep telling everyone, jo paave wahi jane. Once you start, you start feeling good about it. And that's what that matters. You have to feel it. And as I work around you, I keep saying, Oasis is a classic example of Nexus of Good. Classic example because it makes everyone feel good. It does good through public-private partnership. It is scaling good through public-private partnership. I distinctly remember the first time that I met Shivaji in a northernmost part of the country in Leh. And I was so impressed with Oasis, what they did there. In that remote part of the country, they were providing hope, they were providing happiness. I got to see the engagement of the children there. I got to see the engagement of teachers there. It was truly inspiring. So what do you do as Secretary Education? Obviously, I enjoyed it. As I keep saying, you like it, you enjoy it. But how do you help replicate that? And that's where I came in when I superannuated. I started this movement called Nexus of Good. And the idea here is to identify good work, understand good work, appreciate good work, and then enable replication and scaling of that good work, which I try to do as Secretary Education, and I'm trying to do even after retirement by creating this wonderful portal, nexusofgood.org.in. And I'll request all of you to go to Nexus of Good portal. You have just to type Nexus of Good on Google, and it will take you to that portal. And look at the innumerous number of stories that are there. I think there would be almost 700 to 800 stories there, which demonstrate that good can be done because good is being done. And there are wonderful, wonderful examples, including the one from Oasis, where excellent work has been done. And that will inspire into you to believe that good work can happen. This is very, very important, because unless you are yourself convinced that good can happen, and not only is happening, it is thriving. Slightly on the other context, when I talk to my colleagues and talk about ethical behavior, everyone says that you should be ethical. So the story ends thereafter. But unless I demonstrate to the naysayers or the fence-sitters that good behavior or ethical behavior pays, it's very, very important. It's not mere gyan for me to tell you that you should do this, whether a particular ethical behavior pays. There again, the problem is that we tend to highlight in society all the negative work being done by civil servants or non-civil, non-governmental organizations. It's a choice with us. We can choose to highlight what is negative, but we can also choose to highlight what is positive. And that's where what matters. If you can look around and be critical of what is not going right in the society, I'm absolutely for it. I mean, you should be critical of what is not right, but then it should not stop at that. हमारी तरफ यूपी में कहते हैं आप मुक्त कंठ से बुराई करते हैं, आप मुक्त कंठ से तारीफ क्यों नहीं करते? So can we resolve to identify this good work, appreciate, मुक्त कंठ से उसकी तारीफ करें? And my friends, those of you who have not yet experienced it, I can tell you with my personal experience and experience of those that have joined the Nexus of Good, the moment you start talking positively about people around you, even you feel positive, you feel good. And it can be done. And so many people have come back to me and said that, yes, now that I've started talking positively, thinking positively, looking at good work, it is a virtuous circle, like it's a vicious circle when you're negative. So it's up to you to decide. So as I said, when you talk of education and you talk of improvement there, if we can somehow highlight the good work that is happening around us in the education sector. Now I'm limiting myself to education sector. In fact, one of my grouses with the national education policies, which I had told Dr. Rangarajan, I told him, sorry, Dr. Kasturi Rangan, that you must give examples of good work that is happening. And not examples of Kerala to be replicated in UP, but certainly examples of Rajasthan to be replicated in UP. The terrain is similar. So if you give the examples, then people can customize that example to their story. Otherwise, it's pure gyan. Otherwise, you are telling them what should be done. So policy gets reduced to what should be done, a normative system, this should be done. And since the policy does not have a detailed action plan, which it should have had, that's another thing which I told Dr. Kasturi Rangan, that mere thoughts and ideas put in as a part of policy would not be helpful. You should go into the details and work out a detailed action plan, clearly outlining what needs to be done, how it will be done, who will do it, by when it will be done. Because when you go into the details of the implementation of the policy, you will realize that some of the ideas that you mentioned there may not be implementable. The ultimate objective of a policy is a roadmap wherein you guide them that this is where you have to go. But if you don't go into the practicality of what has been suggested, they remain pure ideas. And that is why a large number of states are struggling in the implementation of the national education policy. Had there been a detailed action plan, probably the policymakers would have rethought some of the recommendations that they have given, or they would have structured the recommendation in a manner by prioritizing them. Say, okay, if 2% of GDP is available, these things can be done. If 3% is available, this can be done. That's how you make a policy implementable. So my friends, many of you are very young here. You have a long innings ahead of you. When you think of an idea, think of the plan to implement it. The problem in this country, which I faced in 38 years of as a civil servant, is not ideas or policies. The problem is implementation, because the person giving ideas is not tasked with implementing it. So he comes up with most brilliant of ideas, leaving it to the others to implement those ideas. And if those people or persons who are charged with making such policies or giving such ideas also indulge in making a detailed action plan, they will understand the limitations of some of the ideas that they present. Hence, it is very important not merely to discuss ideas. I'm not trying to belittle the importance of ideas. They are extremely important for you to look ahead, but they are not sufficient. They are a necessary condition, but not sufficient. One has to look at the implementation aspect of it. Ultimately, the bottom line is the man in the field is not bothered about the ideas that I have. He's more bothered about what is happening on the ground. And if things don't happen on the ground, then ideas remain ideas. When national education policy was announced, I was in business. I had retired, but many people approached me to talk about the policy, and I'm discovering the past 4.5 years past retirement. That's so easy to talk and so difficult to walk. So when they asked me to talk, no problem, I'll talk about it. And I spoke so much. And a very interesting incident happened. Editor of a leading English daily rang me up. Sir, can you write 800 words on national education policy? I said, absolutely no problem. Writing and talking is no problem. So I said, I'll write. And then the statement she made was very surprising. She said, sir, we'll give you 20,000 rupees for that article. I said, in my entire life, I have not got so much for every word that I write. I'm thankful to you. So I was paid to talk. I was paid to write. And I was not paid to act, actually. No one was bothered about the implementation part. Everyone. So we indulge in this academic exercise of discussion because that's the easiest thing to do. You talk, talk, and talk. But my contention is we must get down to implementation. And that's why when I interact with organizations like Oasis, I feel inspired because here is an organization which is doing less amount of talking, a lot of walking, and that I think should be an example for everyone else. I compliment Oasis for taking this initiative of getting you all there. I wish, as I said in the beginning, I wish I could come over. I have been there once and I thoroughly enjoyed my stay there. It was totally different, especially coming from Delhi, which is so heavily polluted. You come to a place like Oasis, and they've termed it so well. It is indeed an oasis. It's a heaven on earth. So compliments to Oasis for organizing this. As I told the organizers, I can keep going on talking and talking. It's the easiest thing to do. But I would rather spend time on interacting with you. If you have any questions, I'd like to answer them. But it was a pleasure being with you, all of you. It would have been better. Physically, there. I'm missing the ambience, the environment of Oasis. Maybe soon, someday, I'll be able to visit that place. Thank you very much for inviting me here.
It's been a wonderful experience listening to you, and in a rapid fire mode, you have stated almost all the things that could be stated in that short half an hour. Our Oasis
recording stopped.
Our Oasis people here, we have teachers among them, we have activists, we have young entrepreneurs, and they would be very eager to know from you. And therefore, I will give the mic to some of the people who might want to ask any clarification.
Why is it the situation that despite such high education, doctors, engineers, they are the very people who are into corruption? So what is the element that is missing in education which doesn't prepare them as a responsible citizen or a better or a good human being, as you said, who can see, who can appreciate good?
So let us look at the cause of the problem. Why people are so acquisitive? Why is there a lack of integrity? Why is there dishonesty? Because the general perception is that dishonesty pays. The general perception is, let us accept that as a fact, that dishonesty pays, that unethical behavior pays, because even the best of people are not contesting them by demonstrating to them that good people are also succeeding. I mean, I take the example of bureaucracy. You know, if you talk to a man on the street, everyone curses the bureaucracy because what he sees and what is shown in bureaucracy are the people who haven't performed well and who are
recording stopped.
Now, newspaper or news by definition is exception. So if a civil servant gets caught taking a bribe, it's an exception. Otherwise, it would be there in the newspaper. But when you and I read it, we think that every civil servant is bad. That's the problem. I mean, there's no way in the world that people are not corrupt, they're corrupt. But we in India, as I said, we are so fond of this. So that's the primary reason. It's not that good work is not happening. It's not that honest people are not there. It is not that honest people haven't succeeded. It is not that the honest people have not survived and thrived, but we don't like to discuss them. And that's the counter narrative that we need to build in a small scale. That's what we are trying to do. It's good. We are trying to demonstrate that good not only happens, it also thrives. But we need to point and discuss them. We need to discuss sessions. We need to discuss people who have done so very well in public service, even with regard to politicians. You know, my next book will be my encounters with politicians, where I'm going to dispel some of the misapprehensions we have about politicians, because we only discuss the negative part of politicians. We don't discuss good parts of politicians, because as I said, Fundamentally, we are fond of masala. No, it won't change overnight. It won't change. It will happen. Like yesterday, when we had this launching program in Bhubaneswar, many were very surprised to find that a block development officer in a remote block in Odisha could do such wonderful work as she demonstrated in her presentation. So we need to do that relentlessly and continuously to dispel some of the misapprehensions that exist, to create a counter narrative. Now, if it were easy, it would have happened by now. It is not easy. I accept and admit that. But fact of the matter is, first, you should start believing that good is actually happening. You should start believing that there are indeed honest people. We should be convinced that there are people who are doing good work. If I'm not convinced, then how am I able to convince others? So it has to start with yourself. No, be the change you wish to see in the world. I have to start believing that good is happening. It may not be visible. Now, how do I inspire a youngster who's getting into this society to start believing that good is also successful? Right now, I won't say only good is successful, because there are rascals and ruffians. You know, yesterday I made this statement: if all the rascals and ruffians of the world can come together and make life difficult for us, how about good people coming together and spreading goodness? We don't do that. All the honest people are fighting their battles all alone. Now, again, as I said, it won't change overnight. We have to make a beginning, and the beginning has to be made by demonstrating and illustrating examples of people who are honest and are successful. Second part is very important. Mere honesty does not work. Normally, we show honest people as those that are suffering. No, there are many people who are honest and are thriving. Are we giving examples of those people? That's what Nexus Good is all about. We give examples of people who are doing good work. They are surviving, not only surviving, they are thriving. So nothing is better than seeing. Seeing is believing. And hence, it is important to give illustrations and examples of those that are doing good job.
What I wanted to point out was that the education that we are imparting in the schools is limited to the skill building. It is limited to maths and science and getting something so that we can earn a livelihood. The point is that Oasis is Oasis does programs on character building because we feel that is the elementary part of any educational process. Without creating a better human being or a good responsible citizen as the product of the education system, final product, there is no other, what is the whole objective otherwise? While you are a doctor or
Okay, I have a slight difference of opinion on the approach to it. And my difference of opinion is ethics cannot be taught. Ethics has to be demonstrated. It's very important. By having a book of moral science in the class, you don't become moral. You don't. You have to demonstrate, you have to bring in those persons who have survived and thrived, and they should speak with conviction with people around. You know, I travel almost twice a week to various schools, colleges. What is the idea? The idea is to convey not merely gyan, but to tell them that goodness succeeds. Ethical behavior succeeds. All you have to do is to look at them. You have to show them. So in schools, if they were to be a part of a curriculum, not by books, you know, in our culture, we have such phenomenal stories which demonstrate that good work pays, honesty pays. You know, you look at these Panchtantra comics or Panchtantra tales, fantastic. That is what needs to be told. And then some real examples. The pedagogy will be very, very important. It can't be as a paper as we have in the IAS. We have a paper on ethics and people believe that a person will become ethical. He gives one paper.
Recording stopped.
The most shocking thing. People have learned to crack that exam. How can you become ethical by reading it? No, you have to believe. And how do you believe that? By watching people, by seeing people who have led an ethical behavior. No, if we show Mahatma Gandhi
Recording in progress.
in real pain, a man who suffered, who's going to follow him? We have to show success stories of people who did well. And I'm sorry to say, a number of us present honest officers are people who are being troubled in the society, which is not totally correct. Yes, some of them are. Some of them have to introspect. and understand that honesty alone is not enough. You know, there's a full chapter in my book where I say honesty full stop doesn't work. You have to deliver on the ground. You can't wear your honesty on your sleeve and do nothing and treat the entire world as dishonest. But if you have examples of honest officers or honest people who have succeeded, there's so many of them. Many of them would be sitting with you. If I ask those sitting here, which of you is dishonest, please raise your hand. You won't have a single hand coming up. So there are honest people around. There must be honest people around. Why can't we talk about them? Why can't we talk to them? Teaching them in a class, you know, everyone keeps telling me, curriculum, add another book and increase the weight of your bag. No, you have to bring in people to tell them, I was honest, I am happy. Every honest, large number of honest people say, I was honest, that's why I don't have money today. So you wanted money to be honest. That's a tragedy. How about taking pride in the fact of being honest and living an honest life and a happy life? We don't demonstrate that sufficiently. All honest people are shown as people who are suffering without proper clothes, a smaller house. What do you do with a 10-room house? You know, I keep asking people who made so much money, what do you live in 10 rooms? You've got a whole haveli for you. What are you doing? Are you happy with it? Some of them are, some of them wonder why they created so much wealth. So the happiness is very personal. And hence, what we have to convey to everyone that yes, there could be examples of dishonest people thriving, but there are equal numbers of examples of dishonest people suffering. Similarly, if honest people are suffering, there are many honest people who are enjoying life. They are proud of themselves. And hence the choice is yours. We have to present it as a viable choice. So long as we aren't doing that, we are telling that only dishonest people thrive. So you take a call. No, we have to, as responsible citizens of the country, we have to present this choice to a youngster that you can still choose to be dishonest. You may thrive, but don't ever think that you'll always thrive. You can become a Nirav Modi. You can become a Vijay Mallya. There are people who thrived at a particular point in time. And let me tell you, those who are listening to me, 2 chief secretaries of Uttar Pradesh went behind the bars. In 90s, they thought no one can touch them, but they went behind the bars. So it can happen to anybody. It is not to say honest people don't suffer. They also suffer. So it's a personal choice whether you want to suffer this way or you want to suffer this way. That is an option that we have to present. In school, if you preach through moral science book, they will not understand this.
I'm Dr. Munir from Kerala. I know you have a very much elevated mindset of looking at things, but when you said, it's a kind of disagreement that I have. When you said ethics cannot be taught, some of us might take the meaning that ethics cannot be learned. But I know you don't mean in that sense. You meant to say that ethics cannot be taught in a very forceful way. You meant to say that, but you also have the idea, most of us may have, but some of us may not have the idea that they may take the idea, I'm afraid, that ethics cannot be taught. So I say, chale jaye na do. This is not what you meant, because this is not what Oasis is doing. Ethics can be facilitated. That is what you are doing through Nexus. That is what Oasis is doing. I think we are all trying to do it. So I just want to make a complimentary comment. That's it. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you understood me absolutely correctly. When I said ethics can't be taught, I didn't mean in the traditional sense. No. Or I meant it in the traditional sense, it can't be taught. My contention is that ethics needs to be demonstrated. Ethics needs to be facilitated. It cannot be forced down somebody's throat like 2 + 2 = 4. You can't make him learn. He has to understand it. That's the difference.
Absolutely, sir. This is what the whole thing that we're saying. It cannot be taught by books. Character cannot be taught by books, but it must be a part of the process where the teachers themselves demonstrate, or people who are living that path, walking that path, they demonstrate through their life that this is where happiness lies. This is the choice that brings ultimate joy and satisfaction. Yes, questions from the audience? Because, yes.
So my question to you is, why, in your experience, has it been so difficult for like-minded organizations in our society to work together?
You know, when you are being pushed, then you come together. When a wrongdoer is usually feeling pushed, he may appear to be happy, but he's pushed from some. So all wrong people, in order to protect themselves, they come together. The right people think that I am right. So why should I join hands with I'm right? That is one. The second is, and not with Ramkrishna Mission, I'm myself inspired by what Ramkrishna Mission is doing. In the civil service, I found that many honest officers felt that they are the only honest people around. The rest of the world is dishonest. That is a crisis that we have there. Because the thing, unless I give certificate to somebody else, he's dishonest. And when I enter into a debate with them, I tell them, honesty is not black and white. Every individual has a part of dishonest self and an honest self. It is a question of what aspect of that individual you are appealing to. So the problem there is that I take a moral high ground and see everyone down and say that I am the honest man, rest of the world is dishonest. That's why I keep raising these people. You go through any survey, you will find that they will treat everyone else as dishonest. They will say India's biggest problem, corruption. How many are officers corrupt? 90% are corrupt. So they're looking at it that way. I know many officers, when I talk to officers, you also believe that most of the officers are corrupt. How about you? No one will raise his hand. So there is a bit of hypocrisy there. We're not looking at it. And that's why the good people, the honest people don't come together. They want to fight their battle alone. But as I said, it's a difficult task. But if we keep demonstrated that we benefit by engaging with honest people, with good organization, then they will come together. And Nexus of Good is a classic example of good people coming together and raising awareness about goodness.
Rahman, Joint Director Education, Jammu and Kashmir. We belong to the northern part of India, where we have almost 25,000 to 30,000 schools. It is only the setup of education which has brought end to the poverty, and the light of education has reached to the all corners of the border districts. And it is the system of education only which will prove that it is the only system which can change the mindset of the people and make the system a vibrant, where society can raise and make its livelihood. This is the only difference we can make. Just my friend from Kerala said that a teacher left the job and took the job of a conductor. It is the thinking of that person which has made him so compulsive to do it. What I feel is that, as you rightly said, that education needs proper training and teachers need proper training. What I feel in last 4 months I have joined in the education department is that teachers don't recognize themselves. They only come in this profession by chance, by missing some deadlines. All other branches of livelihood are subsidiary to the education, because teacher is a skeleton who holds all the organs, whether he is doctor, he is engineer, he is IAS, he is civil servant, the byproduct of teaching. So when the teacher lacks his will to say that I am TR, teacher, he will not write, because he has come here incidentally. A doctor doing his MBBS will certainly write DR in front of his name, prefix, saying that he is a doctor. A teacher will never say, because he is not fit here. He has come by chance, by incident. So what I need to suggest is that teachers should give recognition to them. They have stepped into the shoes of a shikshak, a guru. They should fit themselves into this framework. Only then they can raise their head, they can live prosperously, and government should also give far and wide trainings to them, make them to interact with all the states of the people, just like Oasis is doing a.
Thank you. I'm so glad you said what you said, because I've had the occasion to visit Kashmir on a few occasions and have gone deep inside and visited some schools. I felt inspired because the conditions under which that you all are working is something which I would find it very difficult to work. And despite those conditions, if we have so many people so inspiring, it was a fantastic experience. I'm so happy you said what you said. Please keep going, and may I request you to join the Nexus of Good. We will also be benefited by your contributions in this movement.
Hello, good morning, sir. This is Darshan from Awakened Citizen Program, Ramkrishna Mission. मेरा एक क्वेश्चन था कि हम जब भी कुछ अच्छा करने जाते हैं तो हमारे दिल में तो होता है कि हम कुछ करें एंड सब लोगों को इकट्ठा भी करते हैं, राइट? बट जब हम कहते हैं और लोग प्रेज भी करते हैं कि हाँ ये बहुत अच्छी बात है, बहुत अच्छी बात है, बट व्हेन वी आस्क फॉर द कमिटमेंट कि आप क्या करोगे, तब बहुत कम हाथ खड़े होते हैं कि हाँ मैं ये करूंगा। तो इस चीज का हम कैसे सॉल्यूशन लाए? हाउ वी कैन मेक पीपल डू इंस्टेड ऑफ जस्ट टॉकिंग?
देखिए, मेरी पुस्तक है, उसके अंतिम 2 लाइन्स हैं, खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से कुछ पूछे, बता तेरी रजा क्या है। यू हैव टू मेक दैट एक्ट good enough for people to be attracted to it. As I said during my talk, until they find some value in doing what you are asking them to do, किसी के पास आज के पास टाइम नहीं है। आजकल तो ये भी चीज है ना, ये सब टाइम इस पे लगाता है, वो आपके साथ क्यों जुड़ेगा? उसको इसमें ज्यादा मजा आ रहा है। आजकल जने क्या क्या चीजें चल गई हैं, इंस्टाग्राम, टिकटॉक, टैक्टिक, अब तो चैट जीपी अभी आ गया, जने कितनी चीजें आ रही हैं, उसमें मजा आता है उसका। अब उसको उसमें ज्यादा मजा आ रहा है, आपके काम में कम मजा आ रहा है, तो आपके पास कैसे आएगा? हम इसको वास्तविकता को समझें। हम समझते नहीं, हम ये कहते हैं क्यों नहीं आता। जैसे नेक्सस ऑफ गुड हमने प्रोग्राम शुरू किया, बहुत लोग हैं जो आते हैं, बहुत लोग नहीं आते। शायद मैं अपने अंदर झांक के देखता हूं, इसको ऐसे कैसे और कारगर बनाऊं, कैसे उपादेयता इसकी प्रस्तुत करूं, कैसे इससे ज्यादा उपयोगी बनाऊं जिससे ज्यादा लोग जुड़ सके। इसका कोई कट एंड राइट सोल्यूशन नहीं है। आपको खुद निरंतर चिंतन करना पड़ेगा कि आप क्या ऐसी चीज करें जिससे लोग इसमें अट्रैक्ट हों। सिर्फ आपके मेरे कहने से नहीं आएंगे, आपको उसको लाभकारी दिखाना पड़ेगा, उसमें एक वैल्यू प्रोपोजिशन जोड़ना पड़ेगा हर व्यवस्था में। मैं भी इससे आजकल जूझ रहा हूं कि नेक्सस ऑफ गुड में कैसे जुड़े लोग। जुड़ते हैं सब, हाँ कहते, आज तक किसी ने नहीं कहा मुझसे कि नेक्सस ऑफ गुड ठीक नहीं है। सब कहते हैं अच्छा, आप यहाँ पे करीब 100 लोग बैठे हैं, 50 लोग बैठे हैं, आप सबने हाँ कहा है, मैं गारंटी करता हूं 20% से ज्यादा नहीं ज्वाइन करेंगे नेक्सस ऑफ गुड। दैट्स हाउ लाइफ इज, सो यू हैव टू लिव विद दैट लाइफ। एवरीवन विल, नो वन सिटिंग हियर विल से नो, बट मेरा अनुभव ये बताता है कि 20 से 25% ज्यादा नहीं जुड़ेंगे। फेयर इनफ, I am happy with 2025 because they are committed people, they are coming to me. Through them I will demonstrate to others that they have felt benefited by joining this movement. That's what you need to do. You have to make them feel benefited. आजकल किसी के पास टाइम नहीं है। मैंने कहा ना, जो टाइम है वो फोन पे लगा देता, तो टाइम कहाँ आपके पास आने के लिए? तो आपको फोन से बेहतर कोई चीज बनानी पड़ेगी जिससे वो आपके साथ जुड़े।
Myself Anirban from Delhi. आपने कहा कि there is a need to show honesty as a viable option. I'm just curious and thinking aloud, how can it be shown as a viable option for teenagers, children, because what we understand by viability as adults, and it is very different for teenagers and children, and they are mostly ज्ञान हो जाता है, तो उनके लिए viability का मायना क्या होगा उस उम्र में?
मेरे लिए बड़ा आसान है। मेरे लिए आसान इसलिए है कि मैंने एक जीवन खुद जिया है और सबके सामने जाकर मैं कहता हूं मैं खड़ा हूं आपके सामने ये जीवन है। और आज की तारीख में मैं किसी अधिकारी जिसने मेरे साथ काम किया है, मैं उसको फोन करता हूं कि भाई ये जरा एक चीज देख लेना, मैं गारंटी कर देता हूं कि वो करेगा वो काम। आज मैं उसका कुछ नहीं कर सकता, मैं कुछ बिगाड़ सकता हूं। आज की तारीख में थोड़ा बहुत जो मैं पैसे कमा रहा हूं, क्योंकि अपने सेवा काल में तो मैंने कमाई नहीं, मैं खानदानी रिच भी नहीं हूं, लेकिन आजकल कमा रहा हूं मैं पैसे, तो मैं लोगों को बताता हूं कि आप वहां सेक्रीफाइस करोगे, बाद में कमाओगे, ये परमानेंट है। अच्छी कमाई करोगे, अच्छी इज्जत मिलेगी, जो इज्जत मिल रही है वो सही मिलेगी इज्जत। पहले तो आप कुर्सी पे बैठे, वहां इज्जत मिल रही है, तो डेमोन्स्ट्रेट कि अब आप सोच लो, आप ये बनना चाहते हो या कुछ और बनना चाहते हो। पैसा खूब कमा लिया, आज आप शिकायत करते फिर तो यार कोई सुनता नहीं है, मैं फोन करता हूँ कोई जवाब भी नहीं देता। मेरा तो ऐसा कभी रहा नहीं यार, मैंने किसी को फोन किया हो जवाब ना दिया हो, हर जना देता है जवाब। मैं इसका कुछ नहीं बिगाड़ सकता आज की तारीख में। So you have to become an example yourself. You tell that I am succeeding. There's no harm in saying that I am succeeding. I feel success, I feel good, I feel happy. And I feel happy because I led a particular type of life. You know, you have to read my experiments with truth. जिन्होंने नहीं पढ़ा, पढ़िए उनको, फिर आपको मालूम पड़ेगा गांधी जी थे क्या। गांधी जी हमारे जैसे ऑर्डिनरी आदमी थे, ऑर्डिनरी गलतियां करते थे, ऑर्डिनरी समस्याएं थी उनकी। हाउ डिड ही बिकम एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट ऑर्डिनरी? नो, गांधी जी को तो हम किसी के सामने खड़ा नहीं कर सकते आज की तारीख में। वरना वो खुद बोलते तो शायद लोग ज्यादा समझते, तभी लोग उनके अनुयायी बने कैसे इतने, क्योंकि he was a living example. You have to demonstrate that, and let me tell you, there are huge number of them. अगर आपको मौका लगे, मेरी ये पुस्तक पढ़िए आप दोनों, एथिकल डिलेमास, नो मोर अ सिविल सर्वेंट. इन नो मोर अ सिविल सर्वेंट में तो 50 से ज्यादा एग्जांपल्स दिए मैंने, जो लिविंग एग्जांपल्स हैं सक्सेस के, ऑनेस्टी के, एक्शन के. सो आपको थोड़ा रिसर्च करनी पड़ेगी, क्योंकि हमारी आदत है, हम अखबार में भी जब पहला पन्ना खोलते हैं, इसको पटक दिया, उसने मारा, उसको ये नाम कर दिया, वो कर दिया, ये सब चलता रहता है. पॉजिटिव स्टोरी ढूंढ के मिलती है, लेकिन आप नेक्सस गुड पोर्टल पे जाइए, आपको सैकड़ों की मात्रा में मिलेगी. आप ओएसिस में आज आए हुए हैं, बाहर जाके ओएसिस की बात कीजिए ना, कहिए वो भी एक संस्था है जो कि इन्हीं परिस्थितियों में ऐसा काम कर रही है, तो लोग जानना चाहेंगे ओएसिस के बारे में. फिर उनको मालूम पड़ेगा हाँ भाई वाकई कर रही है, फिर उनको विश्वास बनेगा, अगर वो कर सकती है मैं क्यों नहीं कर सकता. It's not easy, as I keep saying. If it were easy, it would have happened by now. It is not easy, it is difficult, but it has happened. So you have to look for such individuals, organizations who represent your thought process, who demonstrate what you think is happening, and they're making it happen. They're themselves an example. Give examples. Expose those student youngsters to such people who have succeeded in life despite being honest. Then they will start believing, हाँ भाई ऐसा बन सकता, क्योंकि ये बन गए हैं. ये महात्मा नहीं थे, ये जीसस क्राइस्ट नहीं थे, ये कॉमन मैन थे, जो who evolved as an individual to be reckoned with. So it's not easy, but it can be done.
मेरा नाम हार्दी है और मैं गुजरात से हूँ. मेरा ये सौभाग्य रहा है कि हरियाणा में 2 साल में शिक्षकों के साथ मेरा समय गया. तो एक चीज़ मैंने जो नोट की थी कि बहुत सारे टीचर्स ऐसे थे जो बहुत अच्छा कर रहे थे और इवन 50 या 70 के स्टूडेंट्स हैं और अकेले टीचर है फिर भी चेंज ला रहे थे और संख्या बढ़ा रहे थे, बहुत कुछ अच्छा हो रहा था. पर एक चीज़ जो वहाँ पे मैंने देखा कि जैसे आपने दीक्षा का भी मेंशन किया कि ऑल द थिंग्स वेर बिकमिंग द टास्क फॉर देम, और वो डेडलाइंस आना और बहुत सारी चीज़ों में वो फंस जाते थे. और दैट वाज द प्रॉब्लम जो मेजर मुझे लग रहा था वहाँ पे, जो हमने मेंशन नहीं किया कि वो भी एक प्रॉब्लम जो टीचर फेस करते हैं जब कुछ अच्छा करना चाहते हैं तो बहुत सारी चीज़ें आ जाती हैं. तो सो व्हाट डू यू थिंक अबाउट दैट? एंड
First of all, my compliments to you for calling it a सौभाग्य. देखिए, हम खुद ही पहले परेशान हो जाते हैं तो दूसरों को कैसे इंस्पायर करेंगे? पहले तो आपको खुद प्रसन्न होना पड़ेगा. देखिए, आप खुद प्रसन्न नहीं है, दूसरों को नहीं, फिर आप ज्ञान नहीं बांट सकते. तो आई एम ग्लैड एज ए यंगस्टर आपने इसको महसूस किया कि आपका सौभाग्य था कि आपने उनके साथ समय व्यतीत किया. अब आइए टीचर्स की बात करते हैं. देखिए, किसी भी प्रोफेशन में, यहाँ पे आप लोग बैठे होंगे, आप लोग सोचते होंगे आईएएस अफसर कुछ भी कर सकता है, वो करता नहीं है, कर सकता है कुछ, ऐसा नहीं है. हर प्रोफेशन में सीमाएं होती हैं. देयर आर एरियाज वेयर यू कैन डू एंड देयर आर एरियाज वेयर यू कांट डू. सामान्य रूप से हम क्या करते हैं कि जो हम नहीं कर सकते उसकी चर्चा करते हैं. तो मैं अक्सर अपने साथियों से पूछता हूं, तुम नेताओं को गाली देते रहते हो, ये बताओ किसी नेता ने तुमसे कभी कहा कि ऑफिस लेट आओ? कभी कहा? बोले नहीं. तो लेट क्यों आते ऑफिस? A large number of officers come late to the office. फिर मैंने कहा ये बताओ नेता ने कभी तुम्हें ऑफिस गंदा रखने को कहा है? किसी नेता ने? बोले किसी ने नहीं कहा. आप किसी सरकारी कार्यालय में चले आइए, वहां किसी का पर्दा टूटा होगा, कहीं इंक गिरी होगी, कहीं धूल पड़ी होगी, क्यों करते हैं? फिर मैंने कहा किस नेता ने तुमसे कहा कि जो तुमसे मिलने आ रहा है उससे बदतमीजी से बोलो? बोले किसी ने नहीं कहा. बोले कहा तुम क्यों बदतमीजी से बोलते हो लोगों? Why do you ill treat them? So there are so many things in which there is no external pressure involved in you, बट हम सिर्फ चर्चा उनकी करते हैं कि नेता हमें वो नहीं करने देता. अपने पूरे करियर में 90% मैंने ऐसा काम देखा जिसमें नेता से कोई मतलब ही नहीं था. और मजे की बात यह है कि मैंने जब इसे डिस्कवर किया 90%, तो मैंने उस 90% पे फोकस किया. 10% जहां नेता घुसा हुआ वो हमने चर्चा ही नहीं करते थे. मैंने देखा वो 90% बढ़ के 95% हो गया. तो अगर जो चीज हम कर सकते हैं वो हम कायदे से करें तो हमारी खुद ही बुलंद होगी. अगर हम उस चीज पे जोर देंगे जो हम नहीं कर सकते दूसरे के दबाव में, आप सब लोग, कई यंगस्टर्स यहाँ बैठे हैं, आप सोचिए, इस बात पे चिंता ना कीजिए कि यहाँ इतना गड़बड़ आदमी है इसलिए मैं नहीं कर पा रहा हूं, ये मुझे नहीं करने दे रहा है, वो मुझे नहीं करने दे रहा. आप इस बात पे फोकस कीजिए आप क्या कर सकते हैं, और फिर नेक्स्ट प्रश्न अपने आप से कीजिए शाम को शीशे के सामने खड़े होकर, क्या आप जो कर सकते थे वो आपने किया जहां किसी का कोई हस्तक्षेप नहीं था. सो माई सजेशन टू ऑल यंगस्टर्स इज focus on what you can. And then that can itself will grow. There is an American monk by the name of Reinhold Niebuhr. He says, Lord, grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, courage to change things that I can, and the wisdom to understand the difference between the two. So my suggestion to you is identify what you can and gather the courage to do that. I can guarantee you with my personal experience that your can will grow because people will start reckoning you. Now, next question is, how do I do that? Look at people who are able to do that. There may be few, but you can seek inspiration from people who have managed to increase their can by focusing on what they can. I mean, I'm digressing a bit. I don't know how much time do you have. I must narrate an incident to you. We all curse issues over which we have absolutely no control. No, that's the easiest thing to do. जैसे मैं जब ट्रैफिक में कहीं जाता था तो ट्रैफिक में फंस जाता था, मैं बहुत परेशान होता था। मैं बाल नो, अब तो नहीं है मेरे बाल, पहले बाल थे, नोचता था, ये क्या गड़बड़ है, कहाँ ट्रैफिक में फंस गया। तो एक दिन मेरी पत्नी मेरे साथ जा रही थी, माई वाइफ, वही मैं ट्रैफिक में फंस गया। मैं फिर नाराज होने लगे, कहाँ से कैसे करते हैं ट्रैफिक मैनेज, तो शी आस्क्ड मी वेरी कूलली, शी आस्क्ड मी, इनका कुछ कर सकते हो? मैंने कहा मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ? बोले जब कुछ कर नहीं सकते हो तो अपना खून क्यों खौला रहे हो? सो व्हाट वी डू इज we spend so much time over issues which we have no control. और चर्चा के लिए बड़ा बढ़िया रहता है कि उस नेता ने ये कर दिया, उसने ये कर दिया, उसने ये कर दिया। अरे भाई आपने क्या किया ये देखो ना। आजकल देखिए देश में बड़ा बढ़िया माहौल है, आजकल सब देश के लिए लगे हुए हैं, इतना होश है, इतना जोश है कि होश खो बैठे, जोश है, कर कुछ नहीं रहे। हर आदमी देश की सोच रहा है। मैं सबसे कहता हूँ यार सेल्फिश बनो, खुद अच्छे व्यक्ति बनो, देश का अपने आप भला हो जाएगा। लेकिन वो तो उसका खुद करने के लिए तो मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी, देश के जोश के लिए तो कुछ करना नहीं है, नारा लगाना है, खड़े होकर इसको तोड़ो, उसको फोड़ो, उसको पीटो, उससे कहो वो आदमी गर्लफ्रेंड के साथ कैसे जा रहा है, वो अपने बॉयफ्रेंड के कैसे जा रही है, ये सब करो। सब लग गए देश को सुधारने। अरे भाई अपने आप को सुधारो। So charity has to begin at home. I mean, Mahatma was great when he said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." Focus on yourself. I keep telling everyone, become selfish यार। देश को छोड़ दो, देश समझ जाएगा। आप अपने आप को ठीक करो। हम दुनिया भर के में लगे हुए हैं कि इसको कैसे ठीक करें, उसको। अरे छोड़िए भाई, पहले अपने आप को ठीक कर लीजिए, अपने आप आपको इतना बल आ जाएगा, आप औरों को ठीक करेंगे।
Sir, जाते जाते I think because this is a diverse section of audience, और हम लोग सब the topic was the education India needs, तो उसमें एजुकेशन सेक्टर के भी है, नॉन एजुकेशन सेक्टर के भी है, तो और फिर भी हम लोग सब इंडिविजुअल सिटीजन्स भी है। सो हमारी पोजीशन में ये पूरी सिचुएशन जो हमने अभी एक सवा घंटे हमने जो बात की, वो सब ये एजुकेशन सेक्टर में एक पॉजिटिव चेंज आए और समाज में भी एक पॉजिटिव चेंज आए, वो हम हर इंसान अपनी पोजीशन से क्या क्या कर सकते हैं, based on our experience, and what are all the things that individuals, youths, anybody in their position, what can we do, which is possible for all of us to do. Anything that you would like to say?
Okay, I have a few things to say as what we as individuals can do, how we can evolve as individuals to be reckoned with. I mentioned to you about focus on what you can instead of focusing on what you can't. But let me touch upon certain other aspects also. I think we have to evolve as individuals who are confident of ourselves. Because if we aren't confident and sure of ourselves, we can't tell others to be doing what we think should be done. And for that, one of the reasons of anxiety, of lack of confidence, is our inability to live with our mistakes and failures. My suggestions to especially youngsters sitting here, that I have yet to come across any individual who hasn't failed in life. I've yet to come across any individual who hasn't committed mistakes in life. Everyone does. It is natural to commit mistakes, but don't commit the same mistake again. It is natural to commit mistakes, and hence, apprehending that you might fail, apprehending that you might commit a mistake, not taking an action is not done. As youngsters, you should take action. Let me give you my own example. I have committed many mistakes in my life. I've had many failures. Some of them have been outlined in my books. I've had failures in my life, but overall, I feel very satisfied the way I led my life. The reason is that you have to learn from your mistakes. You will commit mistakes. So that is number 2. Number 3 is we are sometimes obsessed with results. We are sometimes, and some of us are more often. There's no harm in keeping your objective in mind. But if you're obsessed with results, then you will not be able to do your karma properly. You know, we all say that karmanne vadikaraste ma phalishu kadachana, but we don't believe in it. Because we are so obsessed with results that we don't enjoy the journey that we are undertaking. We don't enjoy the karma. Friends, if you can start enjoying the moments that you are in, if you start enjoying the journey that you are in, the chances are that you'll reach your destination. My experience tells me that. You know, people ask me, why do you travel over the country now? You can sit, relax at home and watch the television. I said, I enjoy traveling. I said, I enjoy interacting with people. I like it. I love it. So if you love it, then there's no harm. In fact, you enjoy the moments and some success will come, more or less, because in any case, you have no control over it. Whatever success is the icing on the cake, but you enjoy the process. So friends, if you can enjoy the moments that you are in, if you can enjoy the now, wherever you are, because you don't know, past is dead and gone. You have no one can change the past except a few politicians and historians. No one can change the past. They can try to do that, but most of us can't change the past. It's done and dusted. The only relevance that past has for me today is to learn from the mistakes that I've committed, nothing less, nothing more. But we seem to be obsessed and living in the past. So I don't know how many people are fighting over the past even today. So much rancor about the past, naming, renaming. I mean, all sorts of nonsense is going out, and we don't look at the substantive issues that confront us. So look at the now. What is the problem now? How we can do it? How we can indulge in it? And future, you don't know. So if you can build the present day building blocks will build your future. I discovered it very early in my life, and I have enjoyed every moment. You know, I write in my book, not just a civil servant. If I were to be born again, I'd like to be an IAS officer, because I enjoyed every moment as a civil servant in the IAS. But the beauty is, I'm enjoying the retirement life even more than what I never thought that I would enjoy it more. Now, of course, no responsibility, no, no compulsion of code of conduct. I say and speak and do what I feel like. So enjoy the moments. And I'm glad Oasis is a place where I enjoyed every moment that I was there. And that's why I'm here today with you all. So enjoy every moment that you have. So if you enjoy your moment, if you focus on now, if you're not bothered about others, become selfish and do what you do, the chances are that you'll succeed. Now, don't try and do too much to others. You can do that after retirement in my age, where I can keep telling, I can give some gyan. But at your age, focus on what you can, rather than what others are not doing, others can't. If you do that, I think you'll succeed. आप अपनी खुद ही को बुलंद कर लेंगे, because if you, अगर आप खुद ही को बुलंद नहीं करेंगे, तो वो है ना कपलेट, मैं अकेला ही चला था जाने पे मंजिल मगर लोग साथ आते गए, कारवां बनता गया. आप अकेले रह जाएंगे अगर आप खुद ही को बुलंद नहीं करेंगे. कारवां नहीं बनेगा. कारवां तब बनेगा आप अपनी खुद ही को बुलंद करें, तब कारवां बनेगा. And the best bit is, stop blaming others for your issues and problems. You know, this is not a couplet of Ghalib, but it is normally said in the name of Ghalib. Umr bari hai pur karta raha Ghalib, dhul chehre pati aina malta raha. If you look inwards and do what you've got to do, I think you'll be a better person. And that's the best contribution you can make to the society. Desh samaj ki chhod dijiye, apni sochiye.
So much, Anil sir, for this wonderful morning that we had and wonderful interaction. And as always, there are brilliant razor-sharp clarity that you display through whatever you share with all of us through your experiences. That is why we value it. And
I'm a little disappointed that all good things must end. But I'm really happy that you have raised the banner of the civil servant amidst the people. And I really, really appreciate what you have said. I wish many more dialogues like this. Thank you very much, Mr. Anil Swarup.
God bless you. God bless all of you. And do join the Nexus. Right. Bye-bye.